Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Higurashi. Episode 25 out of 26. So we have including this 2 episodes left plus an OVA before we finish off season 1. Yes, I know, new camera. You probably, I don't know if it's annoying since no one mentioned it, but yes, there literally is like a slightly new camera angle every episode. If you're wondering why, it's because I kind of set up my recording station for recording reactions with the webcam on differently. I have to move stuff around, like since my desk's in kind of a weird position. I have like an actual webcam plus a tissue box, and I kind of just stack it up and put it on there. So it's always slightly different because I always have to move it, but guess it's fine. But yeah, what's up, dude? We're getting there. Last episode had more of an info stuff. We learn about what's going through Rena's head. After receiving some of Takano's notes, she's become a Takano believer. You know, I love Takano, but so joined the club, Rena, but obviously it's not going well with her because I also am not infected. um, but yeah, I believe, and I've been thinking about this a little bit before I started recording, but I do think they just kind of skipped the Mion talking with Keiichi scene. I think, because like I didn't start the episode, but at like 0 second, Rena's in a phone booth. I'm guessing talking to Oishi, so they kind of skipped that out and showing. It's interesting because they're going at it in a way which seems like Ren is actually being reasonable. I don't know if they're gonna do a nice like, little switch up at the end where they might show like a little montage of her being wrong, quote unquote wrong, because they skipped the part where they showed because Rena tried phone calling the gardeners and she couldn't get an answer, so she's like, oh, these guys are just fakes, when in reality it's just the wrong phone number, like stuff like that. Like there's in the visual novel there's a lot more points sowing doubt in Rena's theories, where this one seems to be a lot more smooth, not a lot of pushback. But anyways, should be interesting going into this. Hey, this is 1 second shorter than the normal episode time. That's wild. I've kind of like stopped even looking at episode times because I just assumed they're all the same. But some are 1 second shorter. Sorry guys, I've stuffed the timer by a second. Unlucky. but anyways, let's get into this. So it's time, your favorite part of the episode, the speech. This is a full-length reaction, which means we're gonna react to the full episode on this video, and you will need to bring your own copy of the episode. I cannot show it on screen because that's illegal unless I put like a bunch of filters and shit, which is still illegal. It's just stopping the algorithm from catching you. No shade, just like general shade. Anyways, yes, so you need to bring your own copy of the episode, and then we can watch together. We sync it up by me counting down from 3, and on go, you'll hear me click, and the video will start, and you will start at the same time. Additionally, there will be a timer in the bottom right of the screen, somewhere in this vicinity. It also kind of changes size every episode slightly because I, I I use Movavi whatever editor. I don't know if that's popular or not. I kind of just bought it a long time ago. I know it's not what a lot of other people use, but I mean, it works for my purposes since I barely edit anything. So that doesn't have a save thing, so it's slightly bigger, slightly smaller. Again, since I've got no complaints, I'm just gonna assume it is all right. But yeah, anyways, there will be a timer on the bottom right once we start, which will can help you with your sync if your video lags or whatever, or you want to skip ahead to a certain scene, or you need to pause your video and you can sync it back up easier. And yeah, we're gonna react to it, and at the end I'm gonna do an analysis of the episode where I, just go over things, say some stuff I liked, maybe do a little comparison from this to the original visual novel, which you've also read the whole thing on the channel if you're interested. If you're a Higurashi fan and you want more, check out the visual novel if you haven't. Or if you have, it might be fun rereading it. There you go, extended intro. Sometimes I want to put a little more effort into it. Felt like we got lazy because we've been repeating the same thing for so long. Anyways, let's start the countdown. 5 minutes. We're going crazy. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, it is Oishi. I know my lore. Why do you say that, Oishi? I guess because, oh yeah, the fact that Oishi is so like into Rena's theories was something that I kind of pondered a lot while reading Sumi Horoboshi, but it literally just turns out that he fully believes it, which surprises me because he's a good detective. So, but they definitely explain it in the later arcs. So. Not calling from a pink phone this time? This is also semi-mindfuck, but we already know it. Well, I mean, from Watanabe, they revealed this information. Which means in every arc, she was already dead when we talked to her in the Watanabe. Well, I mean, if you know the answer, you know the answer, but that's the implications. That was fun theorizing. It was one of my favorite stuff to think about, honestly, in the visual novel. Yeah, they went straight into that, huh? So they definitely did skip it. And this whole jumbled mess. This was actually pretty funny. Every time I can't help but mention that Kumadai looks so weird in this. I don't hate it, but it's just so different. Serious Oishi Earth Invasion. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm very hyped for this episode. Banter time, dude. I have a topic. So tonight we're drinking cherry bubbly. It's not new. I think I've had it once. I like the flavor cherry, honestly. Actually, I had like a mini cherry pie yesterday from a farmer's market. It was okay. It wasn't amazing, but I liked it. But anyways, more importantly, look at this. Metal straw tech, dude. In an age where they're trying to implement paper straws, though it's not going. I mean, I don't really notice it too much in Canada. Like Harvey's, which is a Canadian chain, does it. I think maybe other places do, but not like the bigger places. But yeah, Meadow Straw Tech, and I mean, good for them. Paper straws saving the environment, but I just hate drinking from them. So I bought some Meadow straws. Eco friendly. I'll be that guy that brings his own straw to a fast food place now. But this is the first time drinking from a metal straw. What do I expect? Literally nothing because it's a straw, but quick sip. Yep, it's a cool straw. It might even be better than plastic. Just the cool feeling of metal. And it doesn't really taste like anything. Anyways, enough straw banter. Just really wanted to mention that. We're lacking for banter these days. Okay. I wonder if there's Mion moving the bodies. This also gives you a pretty at least this you can connect this to Torgoroshi, Teppei's body missing. At least that's what a lot of people in the comments tell me to. And it made sense. Also, they didn't do the Torgoroshi reference in the friendship speech with Rena, which is interesting. But obviously they're gonna show it this episode, so I assume. But anyways, and they're not even showing the Shion stuff because they didn't mention I don't think they mentioned Rena asking for Kasai, so it's kind of a lost plot thread, huh? This scene. Golgara? This confused me. I actually got confused in this scene until someone corrected me. That these are Owishi's guys, not Dosanozaki's. Golgara? I just loved how he said it in the visual novel, and they kept saying it in the visual novel in like later arts too. So it's a mini meme. Golgara. It wasn't that impactful in this, but has a little meme power. Why is he saying storehouse? That's just a bad it's just a bad translation. Gogura's it's literally another town or something, right? In a different prefecture. Ooh, the redneck. That's gross. Are they? I mean, Rika comes first. They're not showing Rika. Interesting. Wow. How do you guys feel about that? Cutting the Rika scene. It's kind of iconic for this arc. It does kind of spoil, quote unquote spoil, hint heavily at the plot, but or the secret to Higurashi. But anyways, I like this scene even better than the Rika scene, so hopefully they do this well. Rip Rika fans. I guess this is gonna be the episode where people start not trusting Rena's perspective from this scene. Come on, Rena, face us at least. Oh, she's throwing dead fish at Keiichi. Careful. This was so funny. And it's spoiler, it's literally true. Kinda. I think that's true. That's what they were saying at the end, right? Somebody was an alien. I'm spoiling everything, I'm sorry. But the Toppy theory is actually like pretty cool. Yeah. Before you like, it's kind of late in the series, so it doesn't matter that much. But it's a nice theory. I kind of thought of a cloning theory in their early arts as a meme more than serious, but still. I love. What the heck's happening here? This is different, I think. I don't remember that. The drop. Dude, I love streaming matches in Higurashi. Streaming conversations. They sound so good because of the voice actor quality. It's a creepy shot. Oh, I need to tell a story about this part after post analysis. Don't miss that one. It still sounds weird. Sharpshooter Teichi. This was like such out of nowhere too. It's actually a great kind of reveal. Jesus. And obviously she's relating that to her mother being rich and trying to solve problems with that. This is also a very different, well, it's not a different vibe, but this whole half is very comes out very different. I mean, it's interesting. We'll talk about it. Even though I love that scene, it's a little messy throughout the half. I mean, also they cut off the Rika part, but they also cut off like the Mion part, the Shion part. It's just a little weird. A little weird choice. Okay. Then we get the bat story. In the log place. Fun fact, they did it in the classroom. It then literally doesn't matter, but it's a fun fact in the visual novel. Oh, they're skipping this. Him telling them? That's questionable. Hmm. Though the message of the friend supporting him, kinda, or educating him about friendship is, plus people keeping secrets is still there, which is the most important part, but hearing it from Keiichi's perspective is like a really strong story. Again, they kind of kept Rena's backstory short, so guess I shouldn't really expected that. But yeah, this is nice. The reassurance. Though it comes off a little weird without Keiichi's perspective. Oh. No. This is Higurashi. Or not. No, it's Hanatakashi. We'll talk about it though. I like the pink hue and the blue hue. This was also a pretty big reveal. That's a little awkward with the Keiichi monologue. Though that scene still comes off good. The Rena Believe Me scene was really powerful when I read that. Almost tears worthy. Chia, why are you blocking, bro? Rita knows what's up though. This is kind of a benefit of skipping the Rita scene though. Make it a little more mysterious. Mysterious Rita. Keiichi, the destroyer of fate. Oh. So it's so weird hearing Rita speak in a darker, deeper voice. He's trying to apologize. The Toko's reaction. That's pretty cute. Oh, this is cute. This was such a cute scene. I remember it now. Maybe thumbnail material. I probably haven't mentioned it too much in the anime, but I was always a fan of the Keiichi X Mion couple. I know there's a lot of Keiichi Rena fans here over Keiichi Mion. I mean, it was kind of equal. I know there's one Keiichi Rika person too. Good times. The showdown. This storyline is a little rip though. But tough Oishi. I like that showdown though, anyways. The books. All gray. Those are the important ones, though. What about the sea monster? They're saving it kind of nicely, though. Kumadai, the negotiator. True. Look at that guy, bro. He has an angry face. Like the attitude. Thanks, Akane. This is the first time really seeing Akane. She did appear at the end of Maitashi in the visual novel, I think. So ominous. Uh-oh. Alright, that was the episode. This will definitely be an interesting discussion. I think, I mean, I just want to save it for the discussion, so I will. So is warning, maybe a little spicy, but whatevers. Since we're chilling, what are we gonna use for the thumbnail? We can probably do something with Rena and her. I mean, even the last shot was pretty good. Or in this car with all the maggots coming out. Or if you really want to be cool, we do something with Mion hugging, or Keiichi hugging Mion. If it's a good shot, get the Satoko reaction. So that was the best part of the episode. Kinda. It wasn't. Probably my favorite was Rena and Keiichi's talk. But yeah, interesting. Good stuff as per usual. Next episode's gonna be crazy though. Pretty excited for that. Bam, 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 bam. Bow, 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 bow. Okay, I mean this poem is super straightforward. Retake. That poem was literally just the description of the next episode. It's okay, I like it. I like on the nose poems. Thank you guys for watching this reaction. We're gonna spend a little bit of time doing the post analysis if you wanna watch that. If not, I'll see you for the season finale. Not including the OVA. I don't know if you include those or not. But yeah, let's get into it. First off, this episode's interesting. I'll say flat out, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but not for the same reasons as the last episode. I think the last episode would have been, like I said, really interesting for someone who hasn't read the visual novel. You know, a lot of surprising information. This one, I still think is pretty interesting, but I think they kind of lost the whole plot line of the Sonozakis versus the police because they skipped the Shion scene plus the Mion stuff. Honestly, um, and it just felt a little scrambled because of that. We'll go into it in more detail though, and if you disagree, then you know that's how it be sometimes. But yeah, let's load up the episode. One thing about VLC, I love the video player. Hate how it just goes blank after you finish the episode. You have to reload it. So we start off right with the Oishi talking to Rena. He's fully into Rena's theory, how Rena thinks this is a bioterrorism thing. They're bringing back Oriyashi Osama's virus parasite thing and planning on spreading it throughout. Like I said in the reaction, this is always interesting to me. Just because when I was reading it, I'm like, what's Oishi saying though? He's kind of sus for believing this, you know? Because no matter what you think of Oishi, he's definitely a very sharp guy, but you do learn that he literally just believed this. They definitely go into it more in the future arts. It's basically just comes down to, again, his last year of retirement, and he's desperate. He'll latch onto anything that sounds plausible, which is just something I didn't really match with his character, but it's fine. I mean, it's a little out there, but you know, to be fair, Hinamizawa is a little out there, both geographically and because of all the crazy shit. So. Was that lame? I thought that was actually kind of funny. Anyways, Keiichi and Mion talking about moving the bodies. Fun fact about this scene, I think they talked about this on the phone. So this is where it gets jumbled up a bit. So here's what you missed. What they cut from the visual novel, which again I think really sets up these scenes a lot better. They cut out. Again, Q's showing Rena is a bit, you know, her perspective's a little crazy, though they do highlight that properly in this episode, but they show it more early, so you don't just fully, so it's not as smooth as it's been. But more importantly, they cut out a conversation where Keiichi kind of, you know, Rena's like, oh, don't tell anybody, not even Mion, but Keiichi's like, yeah, it's freaking Mion though, so I'll tell her. And then, you know, to be fair, in the visual novel, I was a little sus of Mion because I thought she had a weird tone. But comments were like, weird tone, what are you talking about? She's literally just telling the truth. Then I'm like, yeah, you know, it's debatable, but that's not what we're talking about. You can hear that conversation. I don't know, maybe in a further date. No, it's somewhere in the visual novel episodes. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. They basically talk, and then Mion kind of just counters all of Keiichi's points and all of the information Rena told him. You know, she talks about Takano's crazy stories she tells everyone about, like, an underwater monster. Stuff they basically talked about in the Oishi and Sonozaki showdown at the end. Just dispels him, and then Keiichi's like, wow, I'm a freaking idiot. Besides the sketchy van stuff, which is kind of dispelled, because I mentioned before in the reaction and last episode that in the visual novel they did show that they just had an old envelope and their real phone number did work. But, you know, to be fair, the van stuff is what kept me the most sketched out when they were asking about Rena passing. But everything else, Mion did a very good job of explaining, and then Keiichi just had a revelation, and he's like, oh my god. You know, I just kind of got caught up in the momentum, and he's definitely more hesitant about believing Rena / wants to help her, because she, and so they do that. And Now, and they also skip a Shion scene, and this one's just, it's kind of hard to do because they'd have to set it up a lot earlier. But basically, earlier in the visual novel, Rena wanted to talk to Kasai because maybe he could help deal with the Rina and Tepe situation. So he told Shion, or sent a letter to Kasai. I forgot what it was exactly, saying that Kasai dropped something in the cafe and she wanted to return it in person. I think she told Mion to tell Shion. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. But the reason why the Sonozakis were after them, because you heard from Oishi, like, Kasai is looking for Rena, and if you're an anime viewer, you're like, why is he looking for Rena? But he's literally just looking for Rena because he got the message, and he just wanted to find Rena so she can return what he lost. So it's this wild misunderstanding that just keeps growing and growing, and then Wishi's going all out, and then Kasai gets a message that the police are at Rena's house, and then he gets worried, so he starts ordering a bunch of the Sonozaki men to look for her, and it keeps on spiraling, and you're just like, oh shit, this is actually getting crazy. So they skipped that a whole out. They kind of recover nicely at the end, but it still doesn't really make sense. It doesn't answer the question why Kasai was looking for Rena. Which is why I said the plot kind of got a little messed up, even with the cover at the end. So it's a little messy in that aspect, I think, is what kind of turned me off a bit. But I digress. It's not. It's a good scene though, so I'm not gonna say it's not that big of a deal, but that's the situation if you're wondering. Anyways, they talk to Mion. Mion explains that they're gonna be cutting down some trees. And then it's a little more awkward since they kind of just toss the body in a cave and not dig it up. But I guess it still made sense. If they're cutting trees in that area, then it might check out the cave. So yeah, but anyways, she digs it up. I mentioned the video. This is kind of a point where you're supposed to connect this act to Todoroshi where Tepe's body disappears. You can assume that Mion kind of moved it after learning the police were kind of investigating it, and the whole stuff about them pretending. Yeah, it's a good scene though. That's a good point. Here it is. So Keiichi goes to the junkyard. No, not yet. This is the Dodora scene. So Rena's freaking out in the junkyard. She hears two police. Again, funny story in the visual novel. I thought those were the Sonozaki men, and I got confused, and I thought Oishi was tricking the Sonozakis to say she's in Dodora, but it was the Sonozakis tricking Oishi. Did they mention that in Mion's talk? I don't actually remember with Keiichi. But Mion basically ordered the Sonozakis to spread fake information that Rena's in Dodora to lead off the police trail. Which was smart. Also, Dodora, not calling out the subtitlers. Very happy for what you do. Though I do think this is professional subs, unless this is a mix between the DVD and the subs. But anyways, and like fan subs. But anyways, when they say Dodora, they translated it into storehouse, which literally made 0 sense. Maybe they said that because they didn't say the line where Mion spread the misinformation. But Dodora is literally like another city in a different prefecture. So I don't know why they translated it into storehouse. It's a little awkward. Don't put disrespect on Dodora, dude. I love that line in the visual novel. The random voice actor, was said it very well. And they kept mentioning it in further arts. I just really like it. Dodora. Quick sippy. Dude, that's the magic of straws, man. You feel like you take a deep sip, but you barely penetrate the glass. That's what I feel like. I've been taking deep sips, but it's only like halfway done. Amazing. Amazing. Anyways, Rena's kind of freaking out. She thinks it's the Sonozaki man looking for her, but there's this whole freaking war almost brewing because of some misinformation, which again isn't actually canon in this adaptation from the talk at the end. So, but anyways, Rena has an itchy neck. Bad news. Then they skip the Rita scene. So what is this Rita scene I'm talking about? The Rita scene is Rita confronting Rena, kind of like with her scary voice and kind of mocking her with a freaking suitcase full of needles, telling her it's for her own good if she takes it, and if she doesn't, then it's fine, whatever. She was getting bored of this Hinamizawa. She'll move to the next one soon. She'll get along with the new Rena, which again is super crazy, and Rena very much ends up with what Rena's saying, that they replace everyone except for the part where Rita says she's hundreds of years old, which that doesn't align with Rena's copies because Rena thinks Rita's been replaced. But it's just a crazy fun scene because you expect it to be Keiichi, and then it's just freaking a spooky Rita appearing in the car and there's a nice screaming match. It's a great scene, and they cut it. I think it's just because they're not really hinting. I mean, yeah, I guess they haven't really been hinting too much to Rita's role besides in Himitsubushi. Like, they didn't even shout out Hanyu in Maetashi, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's a really big scene of Sumi Horoboshi, so I'm surprised they cut it. It is a little surprising. It's not the end of the world. Again, the flip side of cutting it means it's a lot harder to piece together what's going on. Though there is I don't know if they're gonna do it in Minagoroshi, but there is this like fourth wall monologue thing happening at the beginning. So that kind of pretty much explains it, but I don't know if they would do that. That's a little funky for animation. But anyways, yeah, that's skipped, and they go straight into the Keiichi confronts Rena scene. And it's probably the best scene of this episode. They do give it a different vibe. Obviously, they cut stuff. Well, I don't know why I even mentioned that on a smaller scale. But I think the vibe check is a little different because in the visual novel, Keiichi's actually like gets through to Rena a bit before she kind of flips her switch, because she has like this internal argument with herself where she's like, oh, I can trust Keiichi, and then there's like, no, Keiichi's a liar, blah blah blah. And Keiichi was basically, referencing the friendship talk they had about always sticking together, about how paranoid Rena is with aliens. Too bad they skipped that when Rena was like aliens, and the teacher was like, aliens, listen to yourself, it's Mion, it's everyone normal. Then like Rena's like, oh, Mion tried to poison me with the parasite when she offered me her omelet, and then Teichi's like, no, that's not what happened, we always take lunch from each other, Mion didn't offer anyone her omelet. And he was like just relating, he was really breaking through to Rena, showing that her perspective is just totally warped, and it was working until unfortunately Oishi told Rena about Keiichi's past. Kind of a nice callback to an Honor Katashi, where Oishi told Keiichi about Rena's past, which did nothing but further his syndrome, which pretty much worked with Rena. If she didn't know Keiichi's past, she might have actually just been saved in this moment, but she knows his past about and it's a little funny bit. I kind of mentioned it in the anime, but like when she even before that, Rena has like this weird headache, which is different. like I said in the visual novel, is more her arguing with herself internally before flipping. But it seems like in this one, they just show that with a headache. But yeah, her leading up to the reveal of what Keiichi did, it sounds so bad. I don't really want to say it, but I don't actually think it's that like wild of an opinion. But when she like targets, when she talks to Keiichi, she's like, "Oh, I know what you did. You only targeted little girls." It just sounded like so bad. Like it sounded like he was almost like a pervert or something, and it and it's not completely crazy because after I finished the visual novel, I did look at some other playthroughs and just looked at like some of my favorite scenes for the visual novels, and literally there's like two other people that thought the same thing, and it's just because in the visual novel there's a lot more slice of life stuff and a lot more instances where Keiichi is perverted. So even though you don't really think Keiichi would do something like that, it kind of just popped up more naturally in my head. So you kind of have like a sigh of relief, and you hear, "Oh, don't worry, it was just Keiichi shooting kids with a BB gun," which is horrible, but yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. It just sounded so much, potentially like really, really worse. But anyways, she reviews Keiichi's past, kind of like just skewers it with her own perspective. I mean, she knows the details, but she's just talking, basically just monologuing about it without asking for his input. Again, I think it's also a little bit out of spite because her own mother tried to solve the problems with her father through money, trying to like win Rena over because she had lots of money. But yeah, that happened. It was a good scene though. I think okay, next one was where Keiichi told the rest and then the club members, which was a really sweet moment where they're like, "Hey Keiichi, I don't know why you told us that. It's not like we can forgive what you did. It's pretty shitty. But you know, friends don't always need to tell everything about them, all their secrets. They're allowed to have secrets too." And they kind of just bring them up. I do wish they kind of went more into Keiichi's perspective, because with this like framing, it just sounds like what Rena said was completely right, which it isn't. I mean, he did do that, but like from Keiichi's perspective, which they cut, he was under a lot of stress. Like he mentioned before, he got into he was very intellectually gifted, and got into like a special class for the cram school. He was pretty cocky. He didn't really make a lot of friends, and this sort of overwhelming stress being building up inside of him kind of caused this outburst where he shot kids indiscriminately at night just because they were easier. And at one time he actually accidentally shot a girl in the eye where he thought he might have permanently damaged her and just kind of ran away from the crime scene. And in the morning, he kind of like steeled himself, admitted what he did to his parents, and asked to go to the police station. So he did like, it's horrible, obviously, but his perspective gives it like so much more than just what Rena said. And I just feel like if you're an anime viewer only, you might just look at that and be like, "Oh, Keiichi's did some really fucked up shit," and you won't know why. So I think it's very important for Keiichi's character to have that moment of self-reflection, but they skipped it. So there's a lot of cuts I'm not too happy with. I think overall Sumi Horoboshi's been a pretty great anime adaptation, but this is definitely the weak episode so far, where they really just gutted a lot of the content that I felt was pretty necessary. But anyways, that happens. Then Keiichi has the flashback to Honor Takashi, sort of through the lens where he realizes he was a little crazy. Though they didn't show it, there was like the scene where they showed there was no needle in the mochi. It was just hot sauce, which was interesting. Which I kind of called because like when Mian admitted she messed with one of the mochi, And she's like, oh, it was just a prank, you know. It was weird if she was talking about a needle. It was actually just hot sauce. And the marker, I mean, and the needle they were gonna inject him with was just a marker. Because very cleverly in Honor Takeshi, when Teichi asked that, it's like, what is that? And it's like, oh, you know, it's the same thing we used on Tomotaki, which was the marker they used to draw on him. It's a very cool thing with Honor Takeshi where all the crazy stuff, if you take it out of the lens of being crazy, it comes off as like just normal talk with a very creepy like filter around it. So cool stuff. I did mention it's a little more awkward without the monologue, but looking back at it, it's actually kind of fine. So then Rita kind of taught Teichi how it's a miracle. Again, Rita's more mysterious in the anime adaptation, so it's kind of cool seeing her do this. Then we get another great scene where Teichi hugs Mion, and Satoka just blushes and like, oh. Can I get an instant replay on that scene? It's so good. Okay, from 1733. Load it up if you want. Did Satoka just walk away gasping? It's so good. It's so good. And Mion's face. Yes, I ship Mion and Teichi. What are you gonna do about it? Anyways, they do that. Then they have the confrontation between Akane and Oishi. Again, it's a little awkward because the whole build up to this scene was just cut. So you don't really know why this one was actually started looking for Rena, and it's never really resolved throughout it. But the tour, so it's a little less good. But you know, the main part of this scene is just Oishi kind of breaking out of Rena's story after realizing how ridiculous these books are. Though I love Kumagai at the end saying that he demands he gets the Takano novels after Rena gets captured, because I thought that was very smart. When I was reading this scene, I'm like, yeah, maybe these ones are fake, but what if the last one's important? Like, and I made a bet, oh, the last one's gonna disappear by the end of this one because there's some truth in it or whatever. And it kind of happens. I don't exactly remember though. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool scene. You know, Oishi finally gets face to face with his enemies. I believe this is like the anime debut of Akane, Shion's feisty mother. It's a good scene. I mean, it's good. It's just, you know, maybe I enjoyed it more than some other stuff that they did. It's just without the context, I just feel like it's a lot more awkward for anime viewers. And then you got the creepy shot of Rena walking up. So overall, I think this episode really suffers from the cuts. I think. I don't think it's bad. It just suffers from the cuts, and maybe as an anime viewer, you don't really like care about these differences. I mean, I guess you wouldn't, but maybe there was a little confusion. I don't know if any of you have felt that. But anyways, this was a long discussion, kind of semi long because I had a longer intro, so I'm just gonna cut it now. Next time we'll do the finale of Sumi Horoboshi, which should be pretty crazy, so I'm pretty excited for that. Stick around for that. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye. Bye, metal spoons? Straws? I'm brain flooded. Stop.